Welcome back, Tolkien Fanatics, to another MESBG video. I am bringing you today another community connection, and today I am honored to be with Lee Ward, coming from the west of Tennessee. Correct, Lee?
Yes, sir. Almost to Missouri.
Hell yeah, there we go. Missouri, out by John Billy. He's all the way down in Alabama, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So yeah. So Lee is a very experienced painter and hobbyer for the side where it comes to doing all the hobbying stuff. So this is going to be a different perspective, and I was glad Lee was willing to give us his time and to talk about it because a lot of folks get into the game a lot of times just for playing and for the competitive side. Lee, on the other hand, you've got what about 4 or 5 different painting awards just from events I've been to.
Uh, it's been a handful. I haven't kept count, but yeah, I've got a few.
Got a few, he says. I know you've gotten several themed ones from events that I've been to, and then of course a couple painted ones. I know you took best themed for our Great Battle of Carolinas event we did in February, and if it weren't for my self-imposed not giving multiple awards to people, you would have had best painted as well.
Well, appreciate that. I'm happy with anything though.
Yeah. So go ahead, just take a few minutes, Lee. Tell us a little about yourself if you want to, or as much as like personal. But tell us how you got into the game, what drew you to it, what drew you to Tolkien. What was your passion for getting into it?
Well, when I was a kid, my uncle, I was really close with him, and he was into all the nerdy stuff and everything. So I was about, I think 11, 10 or 11 when the movies come out, and watched the Fellowship and fell in love with that. And he got me all the books and realized how much better the books were than the movies. So I just pretty much since I was 11 years old been immersed into Middle Earth and love everything about it. And then when I found out about this game, I couldn't resist jumping into it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I can understand that.
I came from a small town and we didn't really have many. I had 30 people in my class altogether, and um, there there wasn't enough people to have all the cliques like you see in larger schools and stuff. So we didn't really have a nerdy clique that I could fall into. So I didn't really know anything about tabletop gaming until I was probably about 15, and my uncle got HeroScape, one of the hex style games where you build your own map and you've got models like this. And we played it, and he had said something, told me about Warhammer, and I got him a AOS starter set for Christmas, and he was wanting me to get into that, and I didn't like all that high fantasy type stuff, and he's like, well, they make a Middle Earth game too if you'd rather get into that. And as soon as I found out, I went all in.
There you go. Now we're talking. I tried 40K as well for a little bit. Uh, I was kind of similar. I don't know if you've heard before. I know I've said it before online, but like my next door neighbor, his father was like our dungeon master for D&D and big like our chess master and big nerdy guy as well. So I mean, we tried 40K for a little bit, but Lord of the Rings was that really drew us in.
Yeah, for sure. That's I think my first thing. As soon as I found out, I studied the Games Workshop web store for 2 or 3 days, and finally decided on Rivendell and spent $500 right away.
Only 500?
Yeah, granted that doesn't go very far with this hobby.
No. Well, I mean, yeah, yeah. It gets you an army. It can get you an army.
Yeah, maybe not a Iron Hills arm.
Okay, let's be specific. It can get you a Games Workshop army. It definitely won't get you an Iron Hills army, especially if you're trying
No,
to.
definitely.
But yeah, that's true. I mean, I got my Iron Hills army. The way I did it is some guy was selling his that he painted, played with like twice, didn't like it, and then sold it for like $300. And I was like, well, I don't really have $300 right now, but a ballista, 24 warriors, 6 goat riders, Dane. I think it had like 6 crossbows. I was like, that's like $900 on Forge World.
Right. Oh man, that was a heck of a deal.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever it is, I knew that I was getting a good deal, so I hopped on that real quick, and I think I actually was even able to talk him down. I think he wanted like 350 plus uh, buyer pay shipping, and I was able to talk him to like 300 plus shipping. So I ended up saving myself like $30 or something like that, because shipping was only like $10 or $15. So
Yeah, that's nuts. I haven't got into the Hobbit armies much yet. I have Thranduil's halls, but I haven't. I've only painted Tariel for it. So
I got you. I got you. That's oh, I mean, that's kind of me. I've got Hobbit armies, but I've never taken them to any events, and the only time I've really used them is when I've done like local play with just like a pickup game.
right, yeah. Um, well, I guess White Council was my main army for a while. I guess that's considered a Hobbit army, but I feel like it's more Lord of the Rings army to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, all those profiles for the most part came out with the Lord of the Rings. I mean, some of them obviously got updates, and you're using the Hobbit profiles for them specifically, but yeah, they all originally came out with with the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, yeah. I wish they had kept it to where you could still have Thranduil and Círdan in there. I
Yeah,
guess you can ally in Círdan because Rivendell's green, but um, sadly, no Thranduil.
yeah. Well,
It
that I
would be
mean,
nice to have a hitter to go along with Glorfindel. That's why I usually fail so miserably because all I have to that can kill anything is Glorfindel.
do you not use Elrond?
Yeah, but Elrond never works as well for me. He's usually one of the my last additions that I'm trying to decide if I'd rather have the foresight points or if I'd rather have Celeborn for a little more hitting or uh, Galadriel. It's usually down to those three. The three wizards and Glorfindel are always my auto takes.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're looking at um, Gandalf, Radagast, and
Sorry, Mar.
Saruman. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. What you played it a good bit. I remember you had it at oh, what was the event? It was
March on Music City
yeah,
19 was,
yeah.
yeah,
What that was a 800 point event or 850? I can't remember.
it was 800.
800. Okay, and that's
Yeah.
usually so you probably had the three wizards there, and then Galadriel, if I remember correctly, and Celeborn.
I, I actually dropped um, Radagast for that tournament. I took Elrond, Glorfindel, Gandalf, Galadriel, and Saruman
Interesting.
on all on foot, and it did not go well. So the first day didn't go well. Second day was okay, but
Well, that was a very thematic list. I think again, I mean that goes back to what I was saying in the beginning. I mean, you bring it's always fun to see you at an event because you always have something that's extremely well painted and then very thematic, which is what I really that's why I mean I've said it before. I've gotten to the game because of the fact that you can just take these little 25 millimeter scale figures, put them on a table, and recreate a battle from any of the movies, any of the books. So that's my
yeah,
biggest appeal.
yeah. Theme is definitely what drives my wagon. It might not always go with the theme of the tournament, but it's whatever theme that I'm wanting to bring to life,
Right.
and that's what I'll go for, and you know, that's part of what drove me so nuts with the FAQs last year with the hero of fortitude and valor changes where you couldn't ally
Oh
because
yeah.
that is to me the absolute stupidest thing. I get why they did it to stop the power gaming, but it killed so many of my fun little themey armies that I can't run them anymore legally without having to add a way over costed hero that kind of hurts the theme.
Yeah, because what was it? It was if you were a heroic, not a heroic. I'm sorry. If you were a green ally, historical ally, you just needed a hero of fortitude. And then if
Yeah,
you
at
were,
first they made it where any ally was a hero of valor, and that made it even worse. But then they did fix it to fortitude for green allies,
yes,
at least.
so it's the yellow and the reds that require the valor.
Yeah, like the army I took to my first tournament was where I met you. I had my Fourth Age Athelian army with Faramir and Eowyn,
Right.
and I can't even that list is illegal now because I didn't have a Rohan captain in it. Eowyn and Mary were my
Yep.
only Rohan heroes.
And one's a minor and one's a independent.
Independent.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So,
you're right. That kind of hurt me too. Because when we did Ringo South in 2019, I started. Well, I brought it to. I think I brought it to one of your Nashville events too. I dabbled with it for like 3 events. Um, what was it? The Ride for the Rohan. Yeah, Ride for the Rohan event. The Ringo South 2019, and then there was a Historicon event in Pennsylvania, and I had that Gondor Fiefdom's Rohan alliance, and my Rohan
mm-hmm.
contingent was led by Durnhell, who's a minor hero.
I forget she's a minor.
Yeah, because she's just Eowyn. So
Right.
that list ability has been henceforth canceled. I can't do it anymore.
My absolute favorite army is illegal, and there's like it would have to be 1,000 points for me to be able to make it playable the way I like it. Just because my allies Rivendell and
Mm-hmm.
Elrond and Glorfindel are so expensive that they just eat up so many points.
Right. So
Um,
so who's your favorite? What would you have him allied with?
it would be Rangers of the North and Rivendell, where you
Okay.
have Aragorn and Halbarad and some mounted rangers and Dunedain, and then you have Gildor with wood elves for like a Guardians of Eriador
Yep.
type theme. But now you have to add in a Glorfindel or a Elrond, which kind of kills the theme because they weren't out running around. Oh, and also the twins in there too, and that way you get you kind of compensate for the weaknesses of the Grey Company Legendary Legion
Mm-hmm.
because you can take mounts, and also you get a little bit of magic in there with Gildor too, and the 8-inch movement objective grabbers that the
Yep.
elves can
Yep.
be,
I mean
and the throwing daggers are always fun.
that sounds pretty
Uh,
solid. I like that
I,
idea.
I love it. It's low defense. It's what Green Dragon says, avoidance
Yeah.
army. But yeah, it's loads of fun. Um, that's always been my favorite part of when I was a kid reading and everything was like rangers and wood elves, and so that's usually the kinds of armies that I tend to gravitate towards.
I mean, one of my favorites parts from the Fellowship, excuse me, is right there at the beginning when Frodo and Sam run into crap. What's his name? You just said it. The elf guy.
Gildor.
Yeah, Gildor. When they run into him and his little band of elves. So, I mean, they were there specifically, like we said, they were there to help protect the Shire. I guarantee that Gildor knew, Aragorn, Strider, whatever you want to call them, and that they were there to help protect the Shire along with the Rangers of the North. So it's kind of a cool little like add-on there that
Oh
Tolkien
yeah,
had these guys who are guarding the hobbits, and the hobbits don't even realize it the entire time until they run into them.
Yeah, and Gildor was kind of cryptic about it. He kind of told them about Aragorn and to look for somebody when in the book,
Yeah.
and because he kind of knew something was up with Gandalf because they hadn't seen him come back, and and well, that's what there was an article. I don't know if or might have been just a comment or something from somebody in the Games Workshop uh, payroll that after the changes to the FAQs and so many people were up in arms about it, they
Yeah.
one of the things I read was they said, well, a somebody of a hero of fortitude level wouldn't be off running around Middle Earth on doing their own thing, and uh, yeah, if you look at it in a broad way, that kind of makes sense. But the way they've um, designated a lot of these heroes, if you look at it on a case by case basis, you can find it where it doesn't make sense. Like Elladan and Elrahir were in the north helping the Rangers more
Hmm.
than they were ever in Rivendell.
Yeah, I agree.
They were out doing their own thing. Gildor, but I think doesn't even belong in the Rivendell list. I think he should be in the Rangers of the North list because he was in exile. He didn't live with the elves. He chose to be out.
Well, and that's what's interesting too, is because under the you remember the old supplement books, those little blue books.
Mm-hmm.
Those three guys, Eldon, Orohio, and Gildor, they were all in the Rangers list if I remember correctly. Um, because I know Eldon and Elrohir were for a fact. I can't remember if Gildor was. Um,
Well, I wasn't playing when under those rules, but it makes sense, and I don't know why they would change a good thing like that that made perfect sense to something that doesn't make sense.
you know how it is. There's a lot of stuff out there that doesn't make sense. So let's go ahead and change it because that's what makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, that I even wrote a very long and descriptive email to Games Workshop trying to make my case for a future FAQ if they would add those to the list or make a Legendary Legion built around that because um, nobody plays Rangers of the North much
No,
anymore,
no.
and even the Grey Company Legion because it's lacking a lot by not being able to take horses, even though they were mounted in the books.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Joe and I did that. We talked about the legendary legions from the what was it Gondor at War supplement, and the Grey Company's in that one. And I had it listed low. I had it listed at like I think there's 8 um, legendary legions. I'm pretty sure I put it at 8th. Just because of the fact that it's got a lot of good heroes in it. You got Aragorn, Halbarad, Legolas, Gimli, but the ranges in the north are 25 points apiece, or actually I think they're 30. I can't remember, but
Yeah, they're 30.
yeah, okay,
Dunedain's 25.
okay, so yeah, and I don't know if you can have the Dunedain in there, if it's just strictly Rangers of the North. I can't
It's
remember.
just Rangers, strictly Rangers of the
Okay,
North.
yeah, that makes sense. And so it's a low model army. It's very thematic, and I kind of it hurt me to put it at 8th because it is very thematic. But the fact that they don't let any of them take horses is like you said. That kind of kills some of the theme for it, and then also some of the ability to. I mean, nobody plays an army to get curb stomped. Let's be honest. Even when you play a thematic list, you're hoping to do somewhat okay. So the fact that they have zero mobility, I mean, you said it. Your biggest weakness for your White Council list is the fact you have no horses.
Right. Well, they can take horses, but they're so expensive, and you know they it's it's what probably, in my opinion, the hardest learning curve army there
Yeah,
is.
that makes sense.
Um,
Oh, you're right. They can.
because
Yeah, Saruman can take it. Elrond, Gandalf, Radagast.
the only ones that can't have a horse in the army is Galadriel and Celeborn. So I've got what had planned to run at Ring Goes South 2020
Mm-hmm.
was um, the an all mounted white council to see how it would do, but that got canceled because of COVID,
Yeah.
so I didn't get to. But
Hey, you're
yeah,
coming. You're
I've
coming this
played
year.
Gray Company before at tournaments, and my actual first non-loss at a tournament was with them.
Heck yeah.
Um, so I don't think they're the worst. I think we had this discussion on one of the Facebook groups a couple weeks ago, but
Mm-hmm.
I think the Men of the West is the worst of the legendary legions in Gondor at War.
Yeah, I think I had that one listed pretty low as well. Just because of the fact that I think the one thing that's a savings grace between the Grey Company and the Men of the West is the Grey Company. Everybody's a hero, so I mean that can hurt you for a couple scenarios now, like assassination and fog of war. But everybody having might points, and then all your guys are going to have 2 attacks or better, since they still get that bonus because they're on foot. That's not a bad thing at all. But not having any mounted heroes whatsoever for the Men of the West, that one really stinks. I'm not even gonna try
Yeah,
and pretend.
yeah,
So
I agree, and I don't like how I get how they themed it to be. They I guess they took it from the books to where the different men were on different hills and
yes,
like,
yeah,
but I also think that it was also probably a lack of foresight for like the defenders of Helm's Deep, where Rohan heroes can lead elves
yeah,
and vice versa. Um, they didn't see that they were going to do that, and that ended up being a big weakness for Rohan not being able to go in Imrahil or Aragorn's uh,
right,
warband, and also the not being able to allow Rohan to spear support
yeah.
hurt.
Well, I mean,
So
and that little thing with the spear supporting that didn't come out until Rohan at War. So
right.
it'd be cool if they did an FAQ for that though.
It would be. I would love, love, love to play that Legion because I love. That's one of my favorite parts of the books was the
Yes.
Men of the West and having the fiefdoms in there, and
Well,
it's just
I think it's interesting. You harkening back to what you said just a few minutes ago about how you sent that letter. I'm pretty sure I remember you posting as well on a few pages about adding the elves to the Rangers list. I think I remember you posted that like on the GBHL or the ASBGA page.
yeah. I probably did. I was pretty vocal when that FAQ came out uh,
Lee,
because
I'd be scared to see you
that
vocal
was
because you're very laid
literally
back.
what I was literally painting that army, and I converted my to have a mounted halberd on horse with a banner um, and a couple of mounted rangers, and I was getting ready to take that army to a tournament, and it instantly
It became,
nullified it.
yeah. See,
So
that's something that kind of annoys me too. I've never had that happen, but I feel like there's folks out there. Now, for the power gaming side of things, I'm okay with it. But for like the thematic side of things, when you're trying to build a list exactly like you just said, it's very themey. I feel like any event you were to go to with a list like that, having Gildor and the twins and Arathorn or even Strider Aragorn, with some Dunedain Rangers in the north, and what else? That would be really thematic. I don't see how you could ever lose a best themed award. I mean, I don't know how the European guys play, but over here, everybody every event for the most part does a best themed award. I personally think that's the best award to win, other than not even top three. I'd rather have best theme than top three.
yeah, it's that's what I loved about it. That's like I said, that's what drives my wagon, and that's what I like to put into it. When because of a couple of jerks want to take some kind of stupid broken combo they come up
Yeah.
with, it messes everything up, and then they could have like they done the right thing in nerfing Kirdan and Arwen to fix that, and then they went again over the top to
Yep.
make sure that nothing else happened like that.
Yeah.
That somebody doesn't come up with a combo that they overlooked and pretty much killed it. And it's sad,
Yeah.
but it is part of the rules. I wish I like it when they for the sake of theme they'll come in and say, okay, you can't take Elisar with you know
Boromir.
Boromir
Yeah.
or Denethor. That makes sense. I'm okay with that.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I liked, speaking of lists and like power gaming, is like the change to how like red alliances are broken and how that's scored for VPs and just how that's played. Like if you've got 800-point army and you allied in one thing with like say like 100 points with some cheap hero or 150 points with some cheap hero or whatever. I don't know. And then a few guys, and now you're at Red Alliance because of that. And say you got 6 guys in that little 150, 200-point warband of 800-point army. Well, you kill 4 of them. Congratulations, you're broken now, and your whole list is broken. So
Yeah.
I think that was a good change in my opinion to help nerf. I mean, I know there's people out there. Power gaming is going to be in every system. I think thankfully for the most part, the majority of players in MESBG, I mean, we all want to win. Let's be honest. Even when you play a themed event or a themed army, you still have that urge to win at the back of your mind. But for the most
Oh
part,
yeah, we're playing a game. We're still
yeah.
competitors.
Oh yeah. And I mean, and that goes back to what you were saying. It's like as long as there are humans alive on this earth, somebody is going to come up with a strategy and a list and something to turn things to their advantage. They're going to come at the turn of the tide with this big evil beat stick army. It really
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you do to stop it unless you completely get rid of the game, and I pray that never happens.
No, I agree. And you can't. There's no such thing as pure balance where every army will be able to always go head to head, and it's going to
Correct.
be 50% every time they go against each other. There's going to
Yes.
be hard counters
Yes, I agree. I agree.
and stuff, and that's fine. You can build your list to try to prepare against them. Some lists are well rounded enough to be able to counter just about anything, and
Yeah.
some of them don't. Like armies like the Wozes that have one option.
Yeah. Well, I think that's interesting as you're talking about counters. Did you listen to? Actually, I know you do. You listen to the Duran show, right, with the Hammond brothers?
Yes.
Did
Oh
you
yeah.
do you see their? Have you watched all of their current one they just released a few days ago? They did their breakdown for the Great Battle of Carolinas and their thoughts on it.
I started on it, but I haven't been able to finish it yet.
Okay.
So
Yeah, well, it was a long one. I think it's like 3.5 hours or something like that. It was great. I enjoyed it. I watched it over the duration of this week. Um, but to go to like what you said is, you're talking about counters and things like, and I'll get to my point here in a second. But one of the things that I really like that Matt Hammond said was he said he's like I thought 1,000 points would be really fun, and I used to like it, but now I'm changing my stance. He's like, I think I like 800 points better, that 600 to 800 point range. And his reasoning was because of the fact that at 1,000 points, you can bring a counter for everything. So it goes from being less of a strategy game, which is what it is. It's still a strategy battle game, to okay, who can throw the most dice? Because everything you have, I have a counter for it. He said, I like
right.
that. He's like, I like that ability to, okay, I have to pick and choose, you know, what I'm going to cover and then have a strategy to make up for the weaknesses that I can't cover with my army. So I
Yeah, and
found that really interesting.
I think that's what helped me with the Battle of Carolinas to be able to do as well as I did was having 1,000 points and Mordor, the all the different options that Mordor had to just
Yes.
be able to pick a hero. Okay, this hero will be good against this, and this hero can do this, and
I
be
think
able to come up with a good strategy.
I think Mordor has such probably the greatest troop diversity between heroes and warriors in the game. And at 1,000 points, you could probably take almost one of everything. I mean, you could take one ring wraith, you could take one captain, you could take all the named heroes, and then just to be specific, you could take one Mordor orc, one Morannon orc, one Blackguard Barad-dûr. You could take almost everything at 1,000 points. Almost, I would think.
Yeah, you definitely could. And that's kind of how I focused mine. I took a lot of the different named orc captain. I think the most useless profile in the list is the generic orc captain,
Mm-hmm.
um, because you have so many of the named captains that do everything he does but better.
Right.
And if you need March, the Taskmaster, I'll go to my grave saying this is so much better than the captain.
There you go. The
You get
Taskmaster has March?
he has he has one night in March, and then he's got the option to get them for free with a four
Yeah.
plus. And I think I lost count of how many free marches and moves I got out of him.
I think the
The,
Taskmaster is one of the most underrated and sometimes overlooked army for evil armies.
I completely agree, and he's when I'm taking my Mordor, he is always in it
I mean,
because
he's just
it's too valuable.
yeah. He's what the same points as a captain, or is he like 5 points more?
He's 50 points, so I think he's 5 points more. But
Okay.
I mean, if you have the captain, you're going to take a shield,
Yeah.
so it's pretty much the same.
So they balance
Um,
out, yeah, points wise. You give up 1 point of might, but you end up gaining the ability, hopefully, to gain at least two or three free quote unquote points of might every game. I mean,
yeah,
knowing
and
my
not just
odds, I'd
with
get
him.
more.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can. I've fluffed his roll on calling his first march and only got one free march. But then when
Right.
the lines clashed, and you're calling, say you call a heroic move with Gothmog, well, still get to use the Taskmaster to try to get it for free, and
Yep. Yep.
it it pays off big time.
That's actually an
It,
interesting combo because Gothmog has Master of Battle, so you could try and Master of Battle it for free. Oh, he's got it for free, straight up. I'm thinking of Dane. Never mind. Gothmog just has
yeah,
Master of Battle, doesn't he?
yes,
Okay. Well, yeah, but still being able to potentially get it for free if you're outside of your enemy, if your opponent calling it, or if you have to call it first, that's pretty cool. And then having Master Battle, I mean, Gothmog could get like 10 points in might in a game.
yeah. There, it's that was the hardest decision for my ring or Battle of Carolinas was deciding between the Witch King and Gothmog,
Yeah.
and I chose the Witch King because of the I wanted a distraction from Cardish. Everybody was going to be afraid of the Witch King,
Hmm.
but my my real threat was Cardish.
Yeah. That fireball is great. I'm not gonna lie.
It is very good. That's why. And plus, the whole theme of that army was the douchebags. So I had Cardouche and Zagdouche and Gorbag.
Yep.
They were the focus, and they all three of them done what I wanted them to do. They were really good. Zagdouche is extremely underrated too.
Yeah. Yeah. He's the orc one. He's got three attacks, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's the four-twirled one
Yeah.
that, and he can up his strength
Yeah. The
from each
cost is
fight.
defense.
So and it's per fight, so you can up your strength on one guy and call a heroic combat and make it easier to kill that guy and then roll into the next one, and you don't have to sacrifice your defense on the next guy. You can just fight him regular that
Right.
way, and
That makes sense.
it, he's a killer. That three attacks is amazing. And that's
I didn't
how
think about that.
Gorbag is. That's how good he is. You make sure to get him in on two guys every time, and he gets that extra attack.
Yeah, because that's when Gorbag's outnumbered, right? He gets a bonus to his attack value.
Hmm.
That's that's a, that's pretty good.
I wish it was Mirkwood Ranger S where you got multiple extra attacks, but it's still really good.
Right. No, that's actually really cool. Excuse me. Early mornings for work. Yeah. I never even realized or thought about that. I mean, that's a good idea. Even going against like, the metas fight four. So if you're fighting fight four guys, I mean, why not go into it? You're still gonna have three attacks to their two unless they shield or something, or get spear
Right.
supports. But with your list had like 70 something models in it, I think.
I had 67,
Okay,
and
I knew there was a seven.
yeah, loads of spears
Yeah,
and everybody was shielded. I listened, I think, to the Green Dragon
yeah.
Mordor episode probably 50 times leading up to it, just trying to soak everything in, and it paid off.
Yeah,
It really surprised me how well it done. That was the first time I'd ever played Evil at a tournament.
nice. That's interesting because I'm getting ready to go. Well, I'm recording this now. This video probably won't come out until after the event, but the 15th is going to be the Of Wolves and Shattered Shields event in Virginia, and it's going to actually be the first time I've taken Evil to an event. No, I'm sorry, it's the second time, but it's the first time I've taken to an event outside of North Carolina, and yeah, I'm playing my Lurtz's Scout list that I've been working on, and I think it will be. It's very thematic, and I'm hoping it's going to be very fun.
It should be. I've I played against it once and did not fare so well. So
Really? Well, that's good for me. I've had one practice game, and that was against Angmar.
one of the guys in our group plays Ugluk Scouts a lot,
Okay.
and it is nasty. It is the bane of my existence. Um, and Large Scouts is really similar too, and where you can get Maher's Marauders, and then
hmm
the heroic marches and the with the drum, and you've
hmm
got 14-inch movement.
Uh huh.
It's nuts.
That's pretty much my end game for that list is to just be able to run around my opponent and make his make his eyes go cross-eyed, trying to figure out where all my guys are going as they sprint, 8, 11, 14 inches around the board. So
Yeah.
I really have no strategy other than that, just to move quickly and make whoever I'm playing against go, he's in my face, or he's about to be
yeah,
in my face.
it's a very good strategy. I call his army the flying Urukai instead of the fighting Urukai because they're
Nice.
so fast. And it's just their own Urukai are so strong and well. They're the best, I
Yeah.
think, well-rounded troop
He takes
choice.
it. I'm assuming he must take it with was it Snaga and the orcs so that they can fight together and get their +1 to wound or something like that. There's some
Oh yeah,
bonus
he's
for that.
always got Grishnak in there for that animosity, and
Okay, that's it.
it's a killer when they get in there and Urukai are already strength 4 and
Mm-hmm.
getting that +1 to wound is rough. You know, it doesn't matter what army I take, whether it's my Rangers or Wood Elves or Minas Tirith with good defense, they still just chop through it like butter.
Yeah, I mean that's the strength 4 coming from the Urix. I mean you're wounding defense 8 troops on straight sixes. So if you have a +1, you're wounding them on fives, and usually if you're going defense 8 with like that's Iron Hill shield walled, or a lot of heroes, dwarf heroes, they're thinking, yeah, I'm safe. I'm defense 8. strength 3 troops are going to be winning me on 6s by 4s, and it's like, well, hold on a second, buddy. I got this guy who's going to fight with this orc, and he's going to wound you on 5s now. So
Yeah, it's a little regular orc being able to do that is what what that list can do. It's really good. It has weaknesses, but you have to be ready for them to be on top of you in no time.
yeah, I may have to actually look into it. I hadn't considered playing it just because I love the way the Lurtz's scouts sounded, especially with like the shield throw being
Oh
thematic
yeah,
from the movie. um, but yeah, that's actually not a bad list. Maybe I'll look into painting up some Orc Warriors, and I mean I've already got Ugluk painted. I've already got Grishnak and Snaga painted, so I've got every hero I need in there painted. Might as well just go ahead and give that list a run for its money as well.
yeah. I think it's better than Lurtz's scouts.
Hmm.
Not much, because you are giving up having a good hero like Lurtz, but the animosity is just so good.
Yeah. Well, and you can still take Maher, so you're still going to have that 3 attack hero that if you partner up with, like, just say any captain, a scout captain, or even an orc captain, you can get 5 attacks then. So that's not going to be a problem at all.
Yeah, for sure. You don't get the animosity with spear supporting,
Right.
but on something like that where you have that high attack
Yeah.
value already, throw in spear supports.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maher is a must, and I think both of the lists is more important than Ugluck or Alerts.
Yeah. Well, and I think another good thing I didn't even think about until you just said is that since you're taking orcs, now you can spear support too. That is another big weakness of Lurtz's scouts is no ability to spear support.
Yep.
So
Excuse me.
you're good, bro.
I'm getting over
It's
I'm getting over
pollen
a
season.
sinus infection. So.
Yeah, it's that season, man. I feel you. I just saw somebody was posting about that here in North Carolina. One of my friends, we were going through the pollinating where we all get hit by that little sniffle drizzle like I just did and like you just did. So I feel you. So
Yeah, I had to go to the doctor Sunday to just get something. I felt dead all weekend.
well, that's always fun when you lose your weekend to sickness.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm quite a bit better now. It's just hard to keep the
The
crud at
sniffles.
bay.
Yeah, I feel you. So you're like I preluded to at the beginning. You're a big converter and painter and thematic guy. So tell me, what do you have? Let's not do that. You did a army recently. It was a Ithilien list, and you did I think converted everything for like from rangers to like Osgiliath veterans. I think
Yeah,
that was
that's
it.
actually what I'm working on right now.
Okay, yeah, you
Still.
want to tell us a little bit about that, like what you've done to, like how you've done your conversions, what gave you the idea, stuff of that nature.
Well, when I first got into the game and studying the rule book and stuff, we were bashing on GW earlier, but sometimes they do something good, like when they came out with the old Shadow in the East supplement that
Yes,
I think I'm sure is about to be the one that's being redone. Um,
yes,
they introduced Kyrian and Mirren and Jar, and I thought those were some of the coolest models when they come out. And I grabbed the Mirren and Jar as soon as they did the recent made to order. I was like, I can finally try something with this. And I managed to find the Shadow and the East book on eBay for a good price and was flipping through it. And it was just kind of able to come along like it's based. Amon Barad, who Kyrian is the lieutenant of,
yep,
is in Athelian, and that was his. He was under Faramir in charge of defending it, and Murin and Jar come along and help defend it
yep,
against. I don't. I think in the book they've got might have Easterlings or something, but Harad was the one coming through Athelian to get to Mordor, and I love the look of it, and the Osgiliath veterans just fit the theme, the look and theme of um, Carrion.
Hmm.
So I thought that would be really cool to build an army around that. And also, I like to go against what everybody says, and I've seen a ton of people say that Osgiliath veterans are terrible because they're more expensive than a warrior ministerieth and don't have shield wall, or they don't have the built-in fight for that um, Citadel Guard or Guard of the Fountain Court have,
Hmm.
and you have to be around Faramir or Boromir in order to get that fight 4 and fight 5. And I just thought, I'm gonna make this work, or my army's gonna die trying. And so I grabbed all the ministerial stuff I had and grabbed some wood elves and Rohan and just whatever extra models I had laying around that I hadn't painted, and started
Chopping them up.
chopping them up, doing head
Nice.
swaps,
I like
weapon
it.
swap.
That's a cool
That's
idea
another.
using elves for to do it though. I never even thought about that. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, well, the I wanted some that looked kind of like mixed between a ranger and a warrior ministerieth,
Right.
and most of the ranger sculpts aren't the best for like adding shields or heads to, and I wanted some to have the robes and stuff and not have a bow. And I just didn't want to do the extra work of having to carve out the bow and quiver and do green stuff. And
Right.
some of the wood elves don't have bows, so it was easier to work with and cut on, and not have to do a whole lot of extra sculpting. So, yeah, I've got some I'm pretty proud of. Another fun thing with the Osgiliath veterans is giving them different weapons. Like when they, like in the heat of battle, they lose their sword gets broken, or they lose it, or their shield, and they just have to pick up whatever's available from
Right.
like a dead orc.
That,
So I've got axes and picks and hammers and all different kinds of. I even made a whirl out of one of my wife's broken earrings,
there you go.
and a little ball of green stuff, a flail. I mean, so that I can use the whirl thing. He's gonna be.
Uh-oh.
Sorry,
You're
had
good.
a phone, had a phone call come in.
Oh, okay. You're
I
good, bro.
had to. But that guy's gonna be he's gonna be my big hitter. He's gonna consistently run in, drop down to fight one, and kill 4 dudes a turn.
That's awesome. I love the enthusiasm there too. It's like, yeah, he's just gonna walk in and kill everybody.
Yeah, I got some practice games in with John Billy the other day using it, and yeah, he died gloriously every game.
Hey,
He did
but
not kill anybody, but he died gloriously.
yeah, but I bet he looks badass. I mean, I got to see some of the models because you posted them up um, for folks to see and give feedback on, and I saw some of what you had so far, and I was just like, damn. Like I said, chop them up, but that's just too vulgar. Your models were so well, even kit bashed sounds like a vulgar word. Your models were just so beautifully well done. I was just like, well, I know what Lee's been doing for the last month or two while all these crazy tornadoes have been hitting and storming out there in the west.
Yeah, pretty much. And I appreciate what you said. It means a lot, and
Hey man, I ain't gonna lie to you.
it's a lot of fun. And anybody that's newer and getting into it, once you get the painting down, I definitely would advise you to give a shot at you know get a couple of cheap warriors, a couple of different ones, and get your X-Acto knife out and try, you have your hand at it, because I was terrible at it at first. And
Right.
you just, with practice and experience, you get better at it. And
Yeah. I mean, it's like that old saying, practice makes perfect.
yeah, I mean, you should see some of the first models I painted. There,
Don't even get me
I
started
keep
there. Oh man, mine are terrible.
I keep one on my desk all the time to remind me of where I came from.
No, that's good though. That also keeps you humble at times where it's like when or not even humble, but also well, yeah, humble too, but grounded when you're sitting there thinking, God, this model looks so awful. It looks terrible. Well, compared to where you've been, even something that you did a year ago compared to today, I'm sure there's something you've learned, a trick that I've recently, over the last year and a half, gotten really good at dry brushing because of all the terrain and the boards I've been building for the community to do events. So just little things like that you can start adding to your techniques. I did my Saruman the white and gave him a dry brush, painted him with white scar. So he's very bright white, but of course he shouldn't be because he's no longer really Saruman the white. So I got a little bit of
Yeah,
off color white and just dry brushed it. And so you've got that nice white color still underneath, but that off color white just really it made the model. So like
yeah,
2 years ago, he would have just been straight up white, and it would have been like, oh well, nothing I can do about it. But now that I've learned to do some good tactics with dry brushing, I think he looks a lot better. So
yeah, yeah. I, like you said, just I try to keep one model. I'll go back and repaint an army sometimes to make it look better up to my current standard, especially, or at least a couple of the models if I need to mix and match them in different armies.
right,
And I like to always keep one to look back on and so I can see my stages of development, because I feel like I got into this game in 2019. So in just a couple of years, I feel like I've came a long way.
uh
Sorry, FedEx must be here.
oh, bringing more models.
I wish. I've had to. New baby has put a slowdown on buying new models.
I
So,
understand that.
but hopefully that's about to change. I've been having an eye on a few different things to, especially the new. Once we get the new Dale models, that's going to be probably a new
Yes,
focus
yes.
for me, to be able to play them in a War of the Ring scenario. It's like I think I said earlier, I'm not too big on the Hobbit era stuff, but to be able to bring them into a War of the Ring era makes it very nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. I really wanted to get those new the new Thorin and Dane, but I mean, again, Forge World pricing is ridiculous compared to Games Workshop, and I don't think they were actually ungodly priced. I just was like, to get them, you've got to spend like $75 or something like that just to get free shipping, and I was like, I really don't want to spend
I
that
think
much
it's even
money.
more than that on Forge World. I think you have to be over
Do
$100.
you have to be? Oh my gosh.
I think so. It's a whole lot more than Games Workshop. That's what I've been waiting on, everything to come back in stock before I
Yeah,
buy anything,
that makes
because
sense.
I want to pick up some of the Gondor heroes as well, and as the dwarves and the Easterlings, but just you'd do a big, $200-300 order at once, or wait on. I tend to wait on the books to do a Forge World order and buy my books through Forge World, because they're usually a good chunk of that.
Yeah, and the books stay the same price too. They don't change from site to site, thankfully.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And so I'll always wait and get my book through Forge World so that I can get the free shipping with some, one or two packs of models that I've been wanting to get.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think it's crazy. I'm actually on Forge World, just kind of perusing right now, looking to see what could I potentially buy to push me to that $100. And I'm looking at like the generals pack, accessory pack. That one's usually a good one to get. That makes a really good giveaway for events for like
Well, I hope I win it at Ringo South. I need a new list building pack. So
Oh really?
I use those papers that you get for building lists like they're going out of style.
That's funny. Well, I think it's actually funny. I'm sitting here looking at a lot of these things, and I looked at the character series, which is the Dane, Thorn, and Azog diorama, and then Thranduil and Gwahir, and those two are saying no longer available, the last two. But I'm thinking that must be, we keep seeing all these posts all the time on GBHL. Oh, they're out, they're out. And everyone's like, no, it's just their website being crappy. So I'm kind of hoping that's that, that's the case here.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, especially on that character series.
Yeah,
That's probably going to be one of the last things they stop.
yeah,
Those models are so beautiful. I
yeah.
think Thranduil on Elk's the best model in the range.
I I used to have a Thranduil and Elk. Okay, so I think it's funny you talked about you had a Thranduil's Halls list. I too had a Thranduil's Halls list. Unfortunately, the Thranduil's Halls list was not even out of the packaging. It was all in the plastic that it was shipped with, and I bought it um, before they did the repackaging. So I had, what was it, three? Yeah, I think they came with three in each one of the little blister packs of that nasty fine cast for like $25 a pack. It was ridiculous. So I had like four blisters of archers and like five blisters of glaive and five blisters with sword and shield, and then Thranduil to lead them all. And I was like, I just can't bring myself to have to try and clean all the flash off of these fine cast models and do all the bending for the bent out of place weapons, and probably have to do some green stuff for the terrible molding in some areas. I was like, I just can't push myself to do it. So all that money I spent on those models, I ended up selling like all of them for like 150 bucks, including the
Wow.
Thranduil model, which is like $66 or some ungodly amount on Forge World. So
Well, all mine is still in the packaging too. I've been terrified of messing up the Thranduil model, and I just want to make sure my painting ability is at its max when I get that sucker out, and I want it to look amazing. So,
I feel you on that one. Well, that's like me
um,
with Smaug.
yeah, for sure. If I had that one, I would definitely feel the same way.
Yeah.
We, our group actually gave one away at one of the last tournaments, and I tried hard to win that in the raffle, but it wasn't meant to be.
I got my Smaug right after I got back from deployment in 2016. I think it probably was in January of 17. And I started putting it together in 2018 when I was living at my apartment. And I want to say I got like the tail done and the spine spikes and maybe the head. Maybe. I can't even remember. But that's it. And since then, it's still sitting in its box. And I, I, I go over there to look at it to try and maybe do some work on it. And I pull it out and I just look at it and I go, I can't deal with this. I'm just not ready to deal with this because it's going to take a lot of green stuff. Like you see all these people with their amazingly beautifully painted Smaugs online, and I'm just like, nope, nope. I'm not even gonna try because it's fine cast, so the mold lines don't go together well. So I'm gonna have to green stuff it, and I started. I can say I started. I haven't given up. I just say that I'm not skilled enough yet to deal with it.
Well, I think that's a fair and wise strategy, um, just from personal experience. But yeah, because I would definitely want to be able to do something that nice and that expensive justice.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, I think one of the John in our group has got he bought the Norba miniatures version of Smog,
Hmm.
and it is gorgeous too. Yeah, that's he's I've sadly had to play against it at two different tournaments.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, I imagine so. That's not an easy model to. It's Smaug. Let's just put it's Smaug.
Yeah,
There's no explanation.
there's
It's Smaug.
yeah, and you'd think I had Legolas, and I was actually able to do more wounds to it than I think anybody else at the tournaments because of Legolas, and
Yep.
I was running the Defenders of Helm's Deep Legion, so I had lots of good 30-inch range shooting,
Yeah.
um, and I was able to put a hurting on him. But then once he starts
Breathing
getting
fire.
one yeah, once Aragorn could died both times, when from losing priorities and having to use his free might to do the move to get the charge in,
Yeah.
um, and then having to burn the the store to strike.
Yep.
Once I ran out of my store, that's usually it for Aragorn. So it, as soon as Aragorn falls, the whole rest of the army just falls apart.
Yeah, because you got several guys that are built around him with Haleth, for example, getting that excuse me, that uh, bonus, fight value bonus to Aragorn, and then also getting to go to two attacks being near Aragorn. So
Yeah, it's really good, but against Smaug, Haleth is useless.
it's Smaug
Uh,
again. That's all we can say is it's Smaug. It's like okay,
yeah, so yeah, that I I was gonna take that army to Battle of Carolinas, and I played it in two or three tournaments leading up to that to try to learn it and be able to play it well.
the Defenders of
And
Helm's Deep.
uh-huh,
Okay,
and
yeah.
it's so bad. Like, a month and a half away from the tournament, I'm like, hey, this sucks. I'm gonna no pressure. I'm gonna paint 60 something orcs and play Mordor.
I
And
remember you
thankfully
talking to me about
somehow,
that too. Yeah.
and I think it worked out because I don't think I would have won a single game with that army the way I played with it, because I like to go hero heavy
Right.
with all of my armies because of the theme. That's what Lord of the Rings is, all the named heroes,
Correct.
and
Yeah. Oh, excuse me.
doing doing stuff with them. And with Mordor, you can fit a lot of the named orc heroes and still have a good model count too.
Hmm.
The good heroes tend to be so expensive that you don't get a whole lot of them, and while also being able to get good quality in your troops.
Right. Yeah.
Or in my case, quantity. That's what I needed. That's what won me the games in Great Battle, was because I had so many orcs to just die slowly and not break.
Hey, I mean, that's kind of what Mordor does, though. I mean, they're supposed to be a spam,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they did
If
exactly
you
what they
play
needed.
generic orcs, then yeah, definitely they're spam, and just they're there to die, and just try to make sure that they die slowly.
And to sacrifice himself so Carduce can keep getting will back, so he can keep throwing fireball every turn.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Throw throw the spear sports, run in, tie people up, or run one in and then shoot him with your trackers so that the hero can't heroic combat and stuff like that.
Right.
Just they're great for that. And it worked out. But I, I'm going to try the same kind of strategy though with this army of the Amon Barad. I call the Osgiliath veterans the Amon Barad veterans for this army. Uh, and they're going to essentially try to do the same thing that the orc rabble did, but better in quite a few different ways. I won't have the model count, but I'll have the higher defense and the better fight value and better quality heroes.
There you go. Okay.
And
Yeah.
a metric ton of might. That's what somebody commented on my post the other day. He's like, just think if you throw Boromir in there with Mirren and Jar and Kyrian, how much might that would be. And for the sake of theme, for this army, I'm not going to run Boromir. As good as that Fight 5 would be with the veterans.
Right.
I am going to take Faramir just because he was in charge of Athelion.
Yep.
So he's going to be there. And I did a Ranger Faramir conversion mounted with an elf helm model I had, and
Nice.
that I think based on the reaction from the people on Facebook, it must have turned out pretty well. So
I think I
I'm
remember
pretty
seeing
proud.
that. You got him on like or you got him on Elfhelm's horse, if I remember correctly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I
I
liked
cut
it. That looked pretty good.
it. Elf helm. The mounted elf helm model is great for lots of conversions.
Yes. That
I
horse
think
is
him and
so unique looking compared to
yeah,
all the other horses that you can really get a very different looking model out there.
and being Forge World, it's such good quality. It sucks
Mhm.
to chop up an expensive model like that, but when you've got a clear plan of what you want to do,
Mhm.
and you're careful with executing your cuts and joints and everything, it'll really work out. I'm probably going to buy 2 of the Wardens of Gondor set just so I can have a spare here and to be able to do something like that too
Yeah.
with him.
Yeah, he's another one that's got a really nice horses also.
Yep. As much as I hate resin, I love Forge World. It is the best quality
They have,
out.
yeah, you simply said it. They have the best quality when it comes to plastics or
Um,
resin plastic, whatever it's considered to be called.
yeah, I haven't seen any miniature from any company. The Forge World just beats everything that I've seen.
Agreed.
And there might be something out there that I haven't seen. I'm not the most experienced wargamer out there by any means. So, but you do have to pay a premium for it. But in my
Yeah,
opinion,
that's what we
it's
said.
worth it.
Yeah, I never dabbled with. I have a couple models that are non GW, non Forge World, and one of them is my uh, mounted Forlong, the Fat, because
Mm.
unfortunately he never got a mounted version. And when I play fiefdoms, I have to have it mounted. So instead of proxying, I bought that third party one, and it actually that one looks pretty good. I will say that is the most GW looking model that's not GW outside of the horse. The legs are a little spindly. And then I have the mounted Baragon with the one where he's got like the bow across his lap and his helmet on his side. That's pretty
Mm.
nice looking.
I have the same 2 models. And
And
I don't. The biggest problem I have with those unreleased miniatures is their horses are
yes,
terrible.
yes. Well, and that's the last one I was getting to was I have the armored Glorfindel and on horse. And while the picture on their website looks amazing, the model in real life looks like absolute trash. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, unreleased miniatures, but the horse is so thin. I mean, the model, the legs of the model that are supposed to sit on it are wider than the horse. So to put it on there, it's just kind of like I don't know. I'd have to either green stuff the ever living daylights out of it to make it sit nicely without like looking like the guy's just like spreading his legs to ride up and down on his horse, which would look super weird. or find some way to like fill in the legs. But that model is unfortunately one of the worst one of the worst ones I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think fortunately the isn't the forelong molded separate than from the horse.
Hold on. Let me
I think so.
let me walk over to mine because I got him sitting right here in my display case. I can't remember. I think
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. He's molded separate, so
yeah,
thankfully you can switch this horse. Paragon, you can't.
yeah,
His legs are molded to the horse, I think,
yeah.
and because I ran that model in Fourth Age Athelian Army, and yeah, it. I quit buying from unreleased miniatures, but that's about to change. They've started doing resin kits, and they've got a lot of fiefdoms kits now
Yes, I've seen
that you
that.
that are like multi-part,
Hmm.
kind of a lot like the Forge World knights, and I think those would be really cool to get just for me to put in my bits box for conversions and stuff.
There you go. That's a good way to look at it. I didn't even think about doing it that way, but that would be a good way to include something and use it to make more models like you did. I mean, like I looked at the picture you put up of all your Amon Barard guys that you're converting, and I'm just like, none of those guys, all of them are unique. So I think it'd be cool for you to be able to do exactly like you just said. So the one
Yeah,
model I wish I was able to get is the Diwali miniatures of a Lendil on horse because I recently did a Numenor army and I still need to take it out to play, but I unfortunately you don't they never made that for Games Workshop.
it's coming. It'll be here.
2 years down the road.
It'll once they've been saving that Numenor expansion for the series to drop. Whether they get the rights to the series or not, they're gonna.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. They're gonna drop it parallel with the series because the popularity of it's gonna spike then, and it would be a stupid business decision to not do that. So,
No, I
and
agree. I
I
agree.
definitely see getting a mounted Elendil and this new Isildur and an and an Arian model finally.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, all when that series drops.
Yeah, I would like to. I'd like to get all those guys. I've been waiting for a Narian for forever. I mean, I've had these. Uh, what do you call them? I've had these models, and I've just never been able to use them because of the fact that you know I think a Narian is really going to make Numenor good. Like Numenor is good. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like he's going to help whatever he brings. He'll either put Numenor over the top, or he'll give you what they were always missing, which is another good but not as expensive as a Lendiel model. Because Isildur is not bad at 120 points or so kitted out, but having him and a Lendiel, I mean, you're talking about 350 points usually just for two heroes. So if you're playing an 800 point game, or let's say 700 point game, that's half your points right there. And you
Yeah,
usually want to get a third hero in. So if you throw in an unnamed captain, now you're talking about over 400 points. You're not going to have a very large model count. So
no, for sure. They've definitely been missed the mid tier Faramir level hero.
yeah, and that's kind of something that I always thought Rivendell missed out on as well, is because you've got a couple of them, just not not great ones. So
I think the only good mid tier hero they have really is the twins, but they're a package deal and that gets expensive.
exactly.
Arrestor is really the only one like that you can get in a fight. Círdan, Arwen, Gildor, you want all them. Lindir, you want them staying out of the fight
I
and
agree.
doing their little buffs or magic and stuff. They're just too squishy.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, Rivendell's definitely missing something like that. It is they do have a good selection of heroes, but they're just missing anywhere where any army that an unnamed captain is pretty much a must. They're missing something. They're missing that good mid-tier named hero.
Right. Well, and unfortunately, I think it is one of the things that uh, shoot, I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, having a unnamed hero is kind of one of those common things to have a captain, because there's not a lot of armies now where you can get march with your named
Mm-hmm.
heroes, unless you're talking about the big heroes, of course.
Yeah, for sure. That's the army I'm working on right now. I'm painting the dismounts for a war band of Knights of Amon Barad, led by a captain, mounted captain, and just so I have some march and some uh, speed with the knights.
Yeah, that makes
Uh,
sense.
and it's fun converting up a captain. I can make him look however I want to. He doesn't have to look like a certain hero.
Yep.
But then again, I'd rather be able to throw in some other random dude. But I've got good diversity with this army. I'm not. I've already advertised that I'm gonna prove to everybody wrong that Australia veterans
that was a
are
fun conversation on Facebook that went down.
yeah, for sure. There was a lot of people saying that well, they don't have what the guards of the Fountain Court have and all this, and yeah, that's true. But you know, Gondor's different because they have so many options. They're like the Mordor for Middle Earth
Yep.
with so many different troop options.
Yep.
And um, if you look at all the troop options together, then yeah, if you want to spam Warriors and Minas Tirith are better for that. Or if you're wanting an elite army, then yeah, Citadel Guard and Fountain Court are better for their price for that. Or if you just want some Fight 4 mixed in, Rangers are better for that because of the shoot value.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at each profile individually, they're, if you compare them to one, veterans to Warriors and Minas Tirith, they're 1 point more. You lose shield wall. I look at it like, well, shield wall is hard to maintain anyway once
It is.
lines.
Yeah, it really is.
So, okay, that's a nice little special rule, but you got to work hard to keep it.
Yeah.
So for 1 extra point, I get +1 courage.
Yep.
The same fight, defense, everything, but I also get the potential fight 4, fight 5 if I've got Boromir.
Yep.
And I'm still cheaper than Citadel Guard and better defense.
Uh-oh.
Sorry,
Oh,
my
you're good.
phone keeps ringing.
You're good.
Um, better defense than Citadel Guard because they have shields.
Yep.
They don't have bodyguard, but with the +1 courage already, and then the army bonus built in, then
Yep.
throw in a
That's what I was
war
gonna say
horn.
as well. Yep.
Like I'll tell everybody now, I'm gonna have courage 6 troops. I'm gonna have hero level courage on all my standard troops, and
Yep.
it's so terror beware. I'm not gonna be scared of you.
Yep.
So
Okay.
but
The great thing is, because of the fact that you have it that way, you'll be able to, even if you get a -1 modifier, because a lot of terror armies are usually including some sort of -1 modifier, you'll still be at a higher, with the army bonus and with the +1 courage from taking them, you'll still be at a higher courage value than, what do you call it? Oh, I just drew a blank. Than what the regular warriors would be anyway. So
right, yeah. I mean, courage. I'll drop down to courage 5. I'll be elves.
yeah, yeah.
low
So
low strength and high courage.
yeah,
So
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that though.
no, and like I said, I've got Faramir in there, so there's going to be fight 4. I've got quite a few picks and axes thrown in when I need that extra strength.
Yep.
And plenty of spears so that hopefully my axes don't die very fast by lowering defense. I can still have a chance at winning the fights.
Yep.
I've got speed. I've the only thing that's really lacking is a hitter like Boromir or anything. That's where I'm hoping the captain and the knights can come in and be able to get that +1 and help me be able to kill stuff good enough to win some games with it.
I think it'll do good for you. I think you should be. I think it'll be interesting. I'm going to be very interested to watch it play out and see how you do.
Yeah, I'm excited. I was gonna get a little taste of it. We've got a 150-point tournament coming up 22nd, but I had to bow out of it yesterday. I've got something else I've got to do, sadly.
It happens.
So yeah, so
It
RGS is
happens.
gonna be the first chance I really get to test its metal. But I'm confident with it. I wouldn't be driving however how many 6-9 hours with it if I wasn't confident in my chances of winning with it. I'll take weak armies I know that are going to lose just to play them for fun to our Nashville stuff. But when I go that far distance, I want to do something I'm confident will have a chance to win.
Right. That makes
At
sense.
least I don't want to go embarrass myself in another group. So
Well, I will say this, and this is kind of a I don't know what you call it, a little bit of shout out, just because we've been talking about the community. I think you'll enjoy this event, even if you were to come and get tabled in all 3 games. For the most part, everybody that's signed up to play is either newer players, so they've just recently started playing and haven't been to as many events, or there are folks that are more laid back players. There's none of the real power gamers, and I'm not going to put any names out there because I don't want to call people out. But there, for who's signed up so far, I would say, thinking 3 or 4 guys have placed in the top 3, and that's about it. And everybody else is just laid back players, folks who get close, of course, but nobody that's really actually podiumed.
yeah, I had a lot of fun when I come to Great Battles and playing, and all my games were a lot of fun, and everybody was really nice, and win or lose, I never mind losing, but like I said, I just want something that I know will be able to compete. I'm not gonna just take something that I know will like taking my pure wood elf army that I
Well, I will
or
say your biggest
defense
competition,
3. So
your biggest competition is probably going to be your own group member being John Beely.
yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, I got one guy coming from Texas, and he hit me up. He's like, "Hey, man, I heard about your event." He's like, "I'm from Texas. I'm interested in coming." I was like, "Heck yeah, man! Bring some of that Texas love into our way." He's like, "Well, part of a group down here, and we've only been around for like a year and a half, and we're thinking about starting to put on events. And I thought it would be a good idea for one of us. We thought it'd be a good idea for one of us to go to an event and see how one is run." I was like, "Well, first off, you should tell everybody to come." He laughed at that, or well, he sent an LOL emoji because we were chatting on Facebook. Um, he's like, "We can't all afford it, but I can afford it, thankfully." I was like, "That's cool." He's like, and then yeah, we just want to see how a well-run event is done. And I was like, "Oh, well, no pressure on me, I guess."
That'll be a lot of fun. I think isn't one of the Hammond from Texas? Is it Matt? I think.
Yes, Matt's from Texas.
So
Unfortunately, none of the Hammonds are coming this time.
that said, it was fun to get to meet them because their podcast is my second favorite behind the Green Dragon, and
Yes,
I listen to them a lot. So,
they're a good group of 4 guys. One of them's actually in the army, and he's stationed in the Fayetteville area right now. So I was glad he was able to attend Great Battle Carolinas. I don't think he's not coming to Ringo South. The Hammond brothers, they wanted to come. So, I mean, I'm sure you remember I originally had Ringo South as a 2-day event. Um,
Right.
Unfortunately, my co-TO planner organizer guys, they kind of dropped out due to personal stuff and life. So that just leaves me, and I can do a 2-day event, but right now I'm just trying to get my feet under me with work and everything. And I was like, I I want to do a 2-day event because that's what we advertised it for. But right now, just with the way work and everything is and life in general, I mean, you can understand. You just had a newborn recently. Um, I was like, I'll just keep it to a 1-day event. So not as big and extravagant as I wanted. And the Hammond, since like we just said, one of them, Matthew, is from Texas, and then Marcus and Mitchell are out in Washington. They said I was speaking with Mitchell, and he's like, "Yeah, we want to go, but since it's a 1-day event, we're looking more. If we travel east, we're looking to do 2-day events. If we go anywhere else the rest of this year, just for sake of getting flights, because it's easier to get a flight, I guess, for them to do it that way."
Well, if that's the case, guys, if y'all are listening to this, y'all need to come to NashCon in August because it's
Yes,
going to be a 2-day event.
yes, I agree with that. I was going to say if you wanted to give a shout out to that, I'm going to try to get to that as well. I really am hoping to get to that one also.
Yeah, I hope you get to. You haven't been down since what, March on Music City 19.
Yeah. So, I
So
mean,
that'd be
unfortunately, last year,
'cause-
COVID, there wasn't really a lot of events out in any place. And then the end of 2020, uh, y'all did y'all did March on Music City last year, um, but I had just gotten laid off from my job at the end of October, so I was trying to be
well,
fiscally responsible.
I ended up having to miss that too because of COVID because
Mm.
my son got, they said, exposed at school. He never ended up with it, but we were under orders to all stay home
Oh,
that
jeez.
weekend, and I had been in charge of getting the prize support and everything, so that was not cool.
Oh God, I was gonna say, yeah, that's an issue. Were you able to get it to them at least, or
Yeah, I got it all there, but
that's good.
uh,
That's crazy.
uh, yeah, it's something not getting to play because that's our group's big tournament every year, so we get
Right.
a lot of people from out of town that you don't get to see regular there, and
Yes, that's the biggest
like
thing.
guys from the Atlanta group and stuff that I've met over the years, and
Yeah.
you know, so hopefully NashCon will be, it's only a 20-player limit, and just our group alone's filled up half those spots already. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
I didn't
and
realize that.
probably more later. So I think uh, from the time us recording this, I don't know when if by the time your video comes out,
Hmm.
it might already be on the ASBGA page. But Austin's going to give our group a week, and anybody that's on our page a week to get signed up before he puts it on the ASBGA page.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, because I saw it on um, I saw it today. Um, Austin put it out today, and I was like, okay, cool. And I mean, I'm part of your group, thankfully, so I get to see that.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
So this is sadly going to be uh, Austin's last TO.
yep, his
Uh,
last hurrah.
yeah, he's going to be moving this month, but he's going to come back to TO NashCon for us. And,
Yeah, him and I have been him and I have been talking a good bit because I've been interested about how he's doing with his job pursuit. Since I mean, what he's trying to do is what his oh, I can't speak. His what do you call it? His degree, his career field, since he's in the medical field and specifically with infectious diseases, is something that's huge right now. So you would think that he would have gotten a job really fast, but he's been looking for almost what 8 or 9 months now. He's finally being able to lock something down. So
Yeah, it's been a struggle, but I'm happy for him. I
yeah,
wish he could have found something a lot closer because
yes,
Austin deserves a lot of credit for where our group has
yeah.
how big it's grown.
He was you guys' pilot member, if I remember correctly. I know Evan did the first event. I mean, I went to the first March on Music City, and that was in 2018, the fall of or the
Hmm.
winter of 2018, and that was a really fun event. And I know Evan was kind of the TO for that, and I met Austin there and played against Austin there. Um, but he kind of just took over from there and kept growing and growing. And so, and you said you've got like 10 to 15 hardcore players, and that regular players. That's a really
Yeah,
that's big. That's huge.
yeah. When I came on, there was a few there, and it's funny now that I think about it. I'm one of the longest tenured ones members there now, um, because we've had so many. People still come and go, but being able to get more in than leave every year is a big deal for
Yeah,
a
that's
niche hobby like ours.
yeah.
So
That's like we were talking earlier before we started recording. That's kind of one of the issues I'm running into right now is we're not losing people. Unfortunately, they're doing what Austin did. They're moving away, or we have lost a few, but for the most part, the majority of the ones that we've quote unquote lost have been because they've moved out of state or they're moved to a different part of the state, so they're no longer in the the local area. Let's see, we've had one, two, three, four, five, five, five move out of state just in the last like 2 years. So it sucks because you don't want to lose them, but you got to respect the fact that life comes first.
yeah, for sure, we've got a few that are about to graduate college from the Nashville area, and if they have to get jobs and move off, it's going to suck to lose them.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I'm not saying I want them to go. I want them to stay. I want our group to get up to 40 or 50
Yep.
regulars, and to show all the 40K players that Middle Earth's where it's at.
Yeah. Well,
But
you didn't come to our Ringo South in 2019, but we showed the Carolina or at least the Charlotte area 40K guys that Middle Earth is where it's at because our boards were amazing and their boards the, they were pathetic. It became a meme. They were so bad it became a meme. You know you've done something wrong when you become a meme.
yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, I hate to sound like a dick, but when you become a meme, it's either because it was really hilarious or really bad, and it wasn't for the first one.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I was kind of hoping for the same thing. NashCon's the same way. It's got a bunch of systems running at once,
Yep.
and when I got on to reserve my ticket, a lot of all the Warhammer and bigger stuff had already sold out within 30 minutes when I got my ticket.
That
And
doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah.
sadly, we've still got a few, but I'm hoping, once when Austin rolls in there with a few of those Alex Wright boards and John Billy and a couple of the others bring their amazing boards in there, we can still show them up that
Yep.
way. And
Well, I have no doubt that you guys probably will, so don't worry about that.
I hope so. It's gonna be fun. I told my wife after finding out I can't make it to this next tournament, I said I'm not missing NashCon or uh, March on Music City again this year.
Mm.
For I don't care COVID, bubonic plague, Spanish flu, whatever. I'm not missing it. So
As long as they don't
uh,
cancel it, right?
yeah, as long as I'm the Lord lets me stay alive and they don't cancel it, I'm gonna be there.
Yeah,
So
that's the biggest one, staying alive.
so yeah, especially with sleep deprivation.
Yeah, 'cause you got a youngin.
Yeah, well, the older ones are the ones harder on that than the baby. The baby's the most well behaved one of the three.
There you go.
So
Well, that's usually because
she,
she's either crying or sleeping, I'm assuming.
yeah, and or well, she's just good, really good humor a lot. So I'm really proud of her.
There you go.
But so what? Well, I was going to ask you a question. I just lost it.
Don't feel bad. I feel your pain.
Um, I know I've listened to the other community connection videos and
Hmm.
heard how you got started, and I had come up with a couple of questions that nobody else thought to ask, and I just one came back to me and left as fast as it came back.
Don't you love when it's on the tip of your tongue like that and you just forget it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's why. I mean, you can hear it throughout this whole time in any of my videos. I'm just kind of like sometimes like I mean, I know the better channels they like write everything down, but I've noticed that unless I memorize a speech and I'm like presenting it, if I try and read off of cards, I sound very monotone, and you can tell. You can tell when I'm reading off of cards, and I didn't want that. I didn't want that for any of the videos I did. Even what was it? The one lore video I've done so far, and that lore video took me forever, and that was the one where I talked about who I consider to be the greatest hero in the Lord of the Rings, the War of the Ring. That one was again just kind of like, yeah, I had my cards in front of me because I wrote down a few key points to stay on topic, but I still just kind of bounced around. I personally I like a free flowing conversation. I know some folks might not if they like more structure, but it just feels more organic to me to just talk about something.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I don't like the scripted, or you can see where somebody made a misquoted and they had a little edit there
Yeah,
to take that out and fix it, and that's fine. It looks more professional, but it just, to me, it feels more authentic when you
yeah.
have something like this.
I've done it
um,
several times. I'll just put a little note in the card because I'll be like, "Oh, my bad. Put this here." I mean, what was it? It was the oh, I can't even remember it now. That's how bad it was. Uh, but I called it like the Houses of the Dead or something like that for that lore video, and that's not the name. So I just put a little notation in there on the photo I was using for that part of the slideshow clip showing through, and it's like, oh yeah, this is what it's actually called, guys. My bad. So
yeah, for my Instagram page, I did a few videos for like painting tips for newer people that are just getting started in painting, and my wife recorded them, and I had a notebook standing up beside her with notes so I could look at that and still look at the camera. And
there you go. That's actually a smart way to do it. Yeah.
yeah, it worked. It helped keep me from stuttering too much, but they and I think they done well. I just that kind of thing, standing up in front of a camera talking, wasn't really my thing. Um,
Well, I mean,
but I will shamelessly plug my Instagram for anybody listening.
do it. I'll put a link in
Uh,
if I can.
all right, Tater the Painter is my
Oh,
name. Ter.
that's you.
Um, yeah,
I follow you.
yeah. I saw you follow me. I thought it was on purpose.
I didn't realize it. You got? Do you have a Facebook page too, or is it just Instagram?
Uh, just Instagram.
Okay,
So, um, yeah, I wanted to keep Facebook for personal stuff and being able to check out the different groups
fair enough.
uh, separate. And Instagram's just purely for my painting and modeling stuff. So
That's
somewhere I can.
that's hilarious. I did not realize that was you. I honestly just saw the photos pop up, and I was like, "Oh, hey, those are well painted models. I'm gonna follow along with this guy."
Yeah, that's a lot of. I don't know. The guys in my group do a good job of talking me up. They think I'm better than I think I am, and they were like, "You need to do something, do like tutorials on YouTube or start an Instagram or something. So I did end up starting an Instagram for it, and I've enjoyed it immensely. You don't get the same feedback as being on the big Facebook groups, but it's still
Yeah.
that's the. It's good for me to get on there when I need inspiration because I follow a ton of other really good painters too,
Well, that's the
and
thing. I was just thinking. So you'd rather keep it on there than Facebook. Honestly, I think Instagram's better for that because of the fact that you don't get all these stupid, political or other idiotic posts on there. For the most part, you can pick and choose exactly what you want to follow. There's not a lot of ads, the overly annoying Facebook ads and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think it's really that's probably the best platform to go on if you're trying to push painting and videos like that is probably Instagram. I know my one friend, he doesn't even use you or Facebook. He strictly uses Instagram, and he's a big what is he? He's a big he's a car guy. He specifically
Mhm.
Jeeps, so he follows a lot of Jeep builders and stuff like that. So
Yeah, Instagram's perfect for that. Like the only people I follow are other painters. It's not a personal account, so I don't
yep.
follow any friends or nothing. It's just other painters, and I get to every time I click on it, it's you know everything that they've been posting that's painted, and I'm like, ooh, that's a cool, really cool idea. Or I
Yep.
like that color scheme, and or sometimes I see stuff I don't like, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to try that.
Yep.
So,
Oh, there.
uh,
Okay. Yeah, it does say Lee Ward. I didn't even realize that. Oh
yeah,
wow.
my uncle that got me into all this nerdy stuff, he's a woodworking genius, and he built me that sign that's my picture on there, the Tater the Painter sign.
That's a
Built me that for
really good.
Christmas.
Did you paint that or did he do that?
No, he did all that for me. It's engraved
Yeah,
and painted,
that's
and
really good.
it's about 2 foot diameter circle, and it yeah, it's awesome. He just drew up the plans to build me this big painting station, not just a desk, but it's gonna have everything I need and big enough and have really good lighting for my painting and have a built-in paint rack, uh, custom made, not these cheap MDF ones that bow after a month.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's all going to be made out of wood and stained and be really pretty as long as I keep paint off of it.
Dude, I'm looking at this video you have of your Bree stable. This thing looks great.
Yeah, that's for terrain. Um, I don't use contrast paint for my models other than there's one I use for my wood like spears and bows and stuff.
Yeah.
But other than I don't really like contrast
No.
for it for that. But for terrain, like that is pretty 90% contrast. Just pour it on it and don't that way you don't have to spend all that time highlighting everything.
Yep. It does a very good job for that. I haven't dabbled with the contrasts. Um, I've thought about maybe trying one or two out, but for the most part, it's like we said it earlier. I've developed a style of painting that I like, and it hasn't included contrast, so I don't really want to change it to include contrasts. Maybe down the road I'll try it out.
Right, and that's once you get that's what matters is what you find what you're good at and what you're comfortable with. And I'd already dabbled with the contrast when I started on putting terrain kits together and stuff.
I like your
And
dwarfs on here, man. These dwarfs look amazing.
thank you. That's my probably my main side project. Once I finish this army, is I've finally got all the models I need for my Casa Doom, and
Nice,
I
nice.
want to get that put together. I love those dwarves. I'm not big on the Erebor or Iron Hills too much, but the Casa Doom, I just love the look of them.
They Casa Doom dwarfs were my first dwarven love, so to speak. They were the models that, when it comes to dwarfs, I took them to an event in Virginia, and I did pretty good with them there. I went 2-1. Um, excuse me. And then I played them a lot. I did a few battle reports as well. So I love Khazad-dûm dwarfs. Khazad-dûm dwarfs are. I feel bad that they kind of got a quote unquote nerf in this current edition due to the fact that now you can't take Gimli with Durin, but it's thematic, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, no, it still doesn't make sense the fact that you can take Gimli at all. But
Well, you can take them. Well, no, you're right. Yeah, because
I
Gimli
mean,
wouldn't
yeah, you can take him, but it just doesn't make sense why you
thematically.
could
Yeah.
take him.
Well, I think
But
I think
I think the list does need him
yeah.
to be pretty good.
I think the reason that they put Gimli in the list is if you think about it, it's literally the only dwarven list that Gimli is part of. Otherwise, he's
Yeah,
part of the Fellowship. He's part of like the Legendary Legion for what is it? Like most of the Legendary Legions when it comes to War of the Ring. Um,
right.
but speaking strictly dwarfs, there is none. I think it would be great maybe to see like a fourth age list come out in the future that included him, but I don't think that'll ever happen just due to the fact that
Well,
Games Workshop probably doesn't have the rights for that.
well, I think there's a chance that he could be in this new revamped Erebor Reclaimed with the Fourth Age if you want to do just before the Fellowship with King Brand and Old Dane and stuff.
Well, that's
But
third age though.
well, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, Third Age. I got off track, but I was thinking War of the Ring era, and that would give him a good home that actually makes sense because that's where he came from.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess you could theoretically do it because of the fact that, yeah, he was there. The events for the War of the Ring all happen in about a year's time span after Frodo finally starts going on his journey, if I remember correctly, which I'm probably not. So it would make sense for him to, be part of that list. Because even though for a year he was traveling with the Fellowship and then the Three Hunters and going on the Pass of the Dead, he did spend a good majority of his life, I would say, in the Iron Hills with his kin. So yeah, I could see that being very thematic.
Yeah,
Of course, it's a good idea, so it
the
probably won't
problem
happen.
with him. The problem being able to do like the Fourth Age with him to be able, you could take. Well, I guess does he? I haven't read the. Does he count as a? Is he a hero of fortitude in Moria?
No,
The Moria list.
he maintains his valor because he's a valor in every list.
Okay, then I guess you could ally him with Rohan and have him at the, the Glittering Caves where he started that.
Yes.
I thought that he got knocked down to fortitude, and that would make it illegal.
No, he's a valor because he's a named hero. He's a good, and by good named hero I mean he's like a good profile. So he's a good medium tier.
I'm
hero.
wrong. Now that I think about it, I ate my words anyway because the only way to take Gimli and Khazad-dûm is with Balin, and Balin means you can't ally. So
yes.
So actually, there is really no way to make a Fourth Age army legally.
Well, unless they make a new one, I would like to see them, because it depends on what they look at, what they really truly have access to, because the appendices are in the Return of the King, and there is a note in there in the appendices talking about the fact that Gimli did bring, the dwarves, and they increased a lot of the stonework for Gondor itself. So
Right.
theoretically, it is possible to have some sort of green ally with a futuristic Gondor, or futuristic Minas Tirith specifically.
Yeah.
One that could include Aragorn, Elisar. It could include. It could be one of those lists where you have to mandatorily take these people, kind of like a Legendary Legion. So you'd have to mandatorily take Aragorn, LSR, Gimli, Son of Glowin, and then just go from there.
Yeah, and that would be cool. I don't know if they'll ever do anything like that. The game would have to probably slow down drastically for them to resort to just making fourth age stuff, because it doesn't seem that GW has any interest in chasing much of the book lore when they can still have access to movies.
Right. Well, and the fact that I can see it being very possible that they get access to the TV show that's coming from Amazon.
I really hope they do, uh, if not just to keep other companies from getting the rights to it, just to stop other.
Yeah.
But they haven't seemed to be in too big of a hurry to shut down these other third party companies that are blatantly ripping off their stuff. But
Well, you know what they say. If there's a way to do it cheaper, somebody's going to find it. And I'll be honest, a lot of the third party stuff is pretty good. I mean, stuff that I look for specifically is like terrain, and
oh yeah, definitely.
yeah, that's something. Well, not so much anymore because at this point I have 12 boards worth of terrain, or no, 10 boards worth of terrain. So I don't really need it as much anymore. But when I was looking at it, like all this 3D printed stuff that's come out lately is really great for that because that's the one place that even in other systems, Games Workshop supremely lacks, in my opinion. Yeah, they've got a
Yeah,
few things here or there, but not a lot.
and that's like I'm a GW guy. I'm gonna, if they make it for it, I'm gonna buy it and use that their models and stuff for it. Um, but I'm not a big proxy guy. But if anybody else is, I don't have a problem with it. I'll play against anybody. Uh, but
Yeah,
just
I
for
agree.
me, I'm gonna buy the actual models. But if GW would if they would make kits, like multi-part kits, like they've been doing with the recent Plastic Heroes, where you can kit bash stuff a lot easier, I would buy the heck out of those. But
Yes.
the best way to do that is third party stuff. So I've
Yes.
got official GW models all over the place with third party bits all over them, just because it makes it so much easier to make cool conversions.
Well, I think it's hilarious is because they had one for a while. Remember, for on Forge World. I don't think it's there anymore, unfortunately. But they had that for the Azog's Legion. Oh, they do
Yeah,
still have
they've
it.
got.
The Gundu
I
Bad
think it's
Upgrade Kit.
still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
The ability to
you
get
know, it,
was it 4 different types of heads? It looks like. Um, then a bunch of things you can add on, different spear types, different sword types, a banner. I mean, that is it's not bad. $27. It's Forge World, which means it's going to be Forge World resin though. So that's going to be.
yeah,
I'd be willing to pay that. I'd be willing to buy probably $100 worth of that for an army that I enjoy, so I could try
yeah,
to do
for
a little bit of
sure.
kit bashing.
Well, they even used to, the battle games of Middle Earth magazines. They
Mm-hmm.
had a little one of the magazines came with a sprue of different heads and weapons that
Yes.
you could use, and I've managed to find one of the head sprues that I bought off somebody secondhand. I haven't been able to find
The
the
warped
weapon
arm.
sprue,
Yeah.
but I'll shout Robert Loader. Um, he was my round one opponent at Battle of Carolinas.
Mm-hmm.
I've I've bought stuff from him before off the Facebook groups, and I bought a whole bunch of stuff from him at the little swap meet
Yep.
at y'all's tournament. And he introduced me to Oathmark
Yes.
miniatures,
Yes. I've heard of them.
and he sent me a sprue of their stuff, and I used it a lot on converting those orcs to make sure every orc had
Nice.
uh, a single-handed weapon and everything had a shield.
Yeah.
And I found some more sprues of their human models on eBay and bought those. And they're the scale's pretty close. I don't use the bodies because they're a little bit big, and bulky, but the heads and the arms and weapons and everything fit the scale really well. And using those to kit bash a lot of my veterans is it's really handy. It's helped give my knights a veteran look. They're the having mounted veteran with the little backpacks and cloaks and different little ropes on the harnesses of the horses and stuff like that to give them
Yeah,
a
yeah,
different look is nice.
yeah. I remember seeing those uh, in the photo, and I was like, "That's really cool. That's a great way to do that." Is I mean, that's what they are. They're veterans. They were fighting there in the ruins of Osgiliath. So of course they're going to have to carry their kit with them, just like a soldier in modern times carrying a sleeping bag or an entrenching tool in order to literally sleep where you fight. So
Yeah,
that was an
exactly.
amazing little bit you did.
And especially with this thing with Amon Brad, you're in Athelion. It's in Athelion. It's a
Oh, excuse me.
forest. It's not a big city, so you're the Rangers are the veterans in
Mm-hmm.
their armor pretty much, and so they're gonna be mixed and matched. And when the big battle comes, if it's unexpected, they're gonna just have to grab what they've got and run fight. So
Where did
that
you? I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm looking at your photos again on your Instagram. Where did you get this awesome Rivendell photo? You've got a picture, 2 foot by 3 foot picture of the Fellowship leaving Rivendell.
I found that on Amazon.
Really?
Yeah, it's hanging up in my den. Um, it's I think the same picture that I got that I won in the box
Yes.
in y'all's raffle.
Yep.
Um,
Well,
and
now you're gonna have to do a Rivendell list or something to match it.
yeah, I wanted to. Unfortunately, like I said earlier, I think that was my first army
Yeah.
that I bought, but I ended up trading them off. They were painted so horribly. I got rid of most of them besides one. Uh, like I said, I keep one on my desk, but
Yep.
um, just to pretty much start over. And I ended up not really liking how Rivendell played. I probably should have started with Lothlorien. I like the Wood Elf ambushy style of play more than the armored clash in the middle
Right.
um, type of style.
I gotta say,
Unfortunately, that's probably for my abilities and dice rolling skills, the low defense cut/run technique doesn't really work out well for me.
you're preaching
As
to the choir.
for all those, you said I had painting awards. I also had plenty of wooden spoon awards and best sportsmanship awards, which are kind of the nicest loser awards.
If there's no wooden spoon, usually there's a best sportsman, and best sportsman
Yeah,
usually goes to
um,
somebody lower on the table rankings. Unfortunately.
but but I will say for our group, I think you might have met him at the last March on Music City. But we have one guy that since he joined the group, if he doesn't win best sport, then somebody paid off whoever was deciding that because he's just the best dude you'll ever meet and the nicest. And you can, first turn, kill his 200-point hero with bowfire, and he'll laugh and give you a high five about it. And he
That's pretty awesome.
never, yeah, he's never salty or any. Ezra.
Oh yeah, Ezra. Yeah, I know Ezra. I met Ezra at
So
Nova in 2018. Ezra Wood, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. You know, he if he wins every game, gets first place, or if he gets last place, he's gonna get and deserve to get the best sport as well. Just
Yeah.
because there's nobody better to play against. You have so much fun, no matter how the game turns out, and you love. That's why I play. I love having fun with people. I don't care whether I win or lose,
That is.
and to be
Yeah, that's the
able
best part.
to, you know, I, it's never fun when you work really hard and to paint and get your army ready, and then you go play against somebody who's just salty and you know their sole purpose is to devastate you and not have any fun.
Yeah, table you and
Then
make your life miserable. I've had,
yeah,
I can't say, I will say I've had one or two of games like that. But the key to that is it's only been one or two, and I've been to many, many events. And I mean, there are some that are kind of like that, um, but they don't really ever get to that true. Oh, excuse me. That true like over the top power gaming range. I've been
yeah,
blessed to never have to deal with one of those guys. And even the
yeah,
guy that I heard, like
uh,
I heard all these really bad rumors against this one dude, like, oh, he's a slow player, oh, he's overly meticulous, oh, he questions everything you do, and then I played him, and they were kind of right. He was a little bit slower playing. He did want to like double check and make sure that what I was doing was able, like I was able to do it, like I was able to charge, but it wasn't like one of those things where it's like I'm 2 inches away with you from you with a 10-inch cavalry model. Well, I want to double check and make sure you can move those 2 inches. It wasn't anything like that. Like
yeah,
that's over the top power gaming and like nitpicking. No, this guy. I mean, it was like, all right, I'm about 10 inches away. He'd be like, "Are you sure you can charge?" So we'd have to get down there and really look at it and really inspect. So I mean, I heard all these nasty rumors, and then I played him, and he kicked my butt, and maybe that's why all the nasty rumors came because he was a good player, and that's usually what happens is if you get your, like you said, you put all this work into painting. Like I said, I got this Lurtz Scout army. I've put all this work and all this time and money into a 54 model army, and you get tabled, you end up walking away bitter, at least a little bit, even if the person that you played against is the nicest guy in the world. So I guess that's probably what I was hearing from the rumors is a lot of people are just probably bitter that they lost to him. So
yeah, for sure. And I, like I said, I don't mind losing. John Billy's so good, and I get creamed by him every time. But I have a blast playing against him, and I don't mind that the the outcome as long as somebody's a good sport about it.
yeah, that's
And
actually a perfect example.
that's the best thing about our group is everybody gets along so well, and we don't really have any problems in our group at all with hardly well definitely with none of our regulars. So
That's always a good thing is when you can have a good group of friends that get together and you can bond over a common thing and just have fun without any outside forces adding drama or inside
yeah,
forces as well.
yeah, that was the best part about when I got into it. I didn't just meet a couple of gaming buddies and stuff, and that's all we when we get together for a tournament and stuff and play. I've met good life friends out of this too that I can
Yes,
talk
I
to
completely
and
agree.
like and they're not I'm out here all by myself. I don't have anybody within 2 hours of me. So
I feel your
um,
pain on that. I'm not quite as bad, but it's a to get into the city where the game stores are at. It's a 45-minute drive for me. So it's one of those things where it's like it's not a oh hey let's just pick up and play a game today. It's like we need to plan this several days ahead because of the fact that I know I need to put at least an hour and a half and probably more like an hour and 45 minutes of total travel time into my schedule for the day.
yeah, for sure, and that's why I'm not too big on TOing because a lot of the time, if you end up with an even number of players, you don't get to play. And if I'm going to have to drive that far, I really would like to play. So I'm not too big on TOing a lot and having to just stand there for a couple hours and answer questions and make sure everybody's being nice.
Well, see,
Uh,
and that's funny is one of the things I enjoy most about the hobby is what we're doing right now. You and I never would have met if it weren't for the hobby. So
yeah, exactly.
it's really cool to you're on the western side of Tennessee, almost all the way in Missouri, like you said, and Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri.
Okay.
45 minutes. Arkansas. I'm kind of.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm terrible at geography. So yeah, you're on the far side of Tennessee. I'm in the middle of North Carolina. There is. It is very conceivable to believe that we would never meet each other in life outside of this event, outside of this hobby. So the fact that we can sit down and have a 2 or 3 hour conversation just talking about the hobby, talking about stuff that we enjoy, talking about the different armies. And then we've also thrown plenty of other life stuff in throughout this conversation. That's what I enjoy. So when it comes to hosting events, I've actually found a lot more joy over the last year and a half, actually closer to 2 years now, since I started doing a lot of hosting and TOing in June of 2019. So for basically the last 2 years, I get more. I find I'm more fulfilled at the end of a day if I do a tournament as the TO, because I get to talk to everybody. Whereas a player, you get to talk to at least 3 people on a consistent basis during your 3 games, or if it's a 2 day event, 5 games, and then maybe some friends that you already knew. But as a TO, everybody has to talk to you. So you're going to make, depending on the size of the event, anywhere from 10 to potentially 30 connections, albeit maybe folks that you already know. But half the time, a good portion of those are brand new. I mean, look at the event that I'm doing in June, Ringo South. Um, I'm trying to pull up the document real quick with all the names I have listed, because I've already started building the event tracker. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 people of the 22 that are signed up I've never met before. I've never spoken to. So I think that's great. So I'm gonna make potentially 7 new connections.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from there, and it makes sense. I was kind of bummed when at Great Battles that I didn't get a chance to play against any of the Hammond brothers. I was really wanting to get to talk to one of them for a good amount of time and pick their brain about stuff, and the the standings didn't work out to where we could get a game, but still got to meet one person that I'd already talked to, but I had never met in person, and 2 other brand new people, and my other opponents. But yeah, it would have been cool to get to talk to more and get to know them more. Hopefully, some of them will be at RGS, and it'll work out that way.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, folks who are returning from Great Battles, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and yourself for 10. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. So 10 of the 22 folks are folks who were at Great Battle Carolinas. And that's a pretty cool thing, too. I mean, you look at 10 of 22, so that means I've got a good return ratio, but a better new player sign-up ratio as well.
Yeah, for sure. And 2 of the new ones coming are 2 of our newer members.
That's correct. Yeah, Kevin and Evan. Kevin and
yeah,
Evan. That's funny.
Yeah, they had just started talking to our group right about the time of the tournament, and their first tournament was the little fantasy fellowship tournament I ran right after your tournament, and they're really really good dudes, and I'm glad where you get a pretty good showing to represent our Nashville group up there.
Oh yeah, you guys are bringing a good bit. John, Kevin, yourself, and Evan. I mean, that's 4 people.
Yeah, and we've been trying to hopefully there's still a chance we can convince a few more before the deadline to sign up. It's a pretty good drive from here. And,
it's 6 hours. Yeah.
So,
well, but I mean, I would say I feel lucky being in North Carolina. I mean, we alluded to this earlier, and you and I have discussed this off record, off camera as well. But unfortunately, a lot of the players, what I say, 5 or 6, have moved out of the Charlotte area over the last 2 years, which really hurts. You know, some of them are very good friends, like, you know, missing out on Derek Winters going up to Philadelphia. But I mean, he had to do that because his wife got her job there. So you got to respect the life. Um, Another one,
definitely.
Tom Carroll, same thing. His job took him to the Pennsylvania area as well. But being in North Carolina, being in Charlotte particularly, we're not too far off. Like, so tomorrow, I'm getting off of work at 2:30 in the afternoon, coming home, packing my stuff up, and hitting the road to make the 6-hour drive to Virginia. And then,
Yeah, I would love to go to that tournament.
yeah,
It's just too far for me.
yeah, and see, that's convenient for me because it's only 6 hours. And then down the road, you guys do an event that I can get a weekend for. I can do the exact same thing, you know, if I'm not working second shift. A lot of the times I've been on second shift for a lot, and I'm trying to get, I've got a job lined up right now where I can get onto first shift on a permanent basis, and that's what I want to be able to do, because then I'm not burning vacation days to take a Friday off just to travel, because that's literally what happens when you work an off shift, like second or third, is you have to burn a vacation day just for traveling, and that sucks. Um, but yeah, like I said, down the road, if I'm able to line this job up, I'm looking at being able to do the exact same thing. Is get off in the afternoon, come home, pack my stuff. I can make a 6.5 hour trip out to Nashville on a Friday afternoon. You know, it's probably closer to 7.5 with Friday traffic. But
Yeah, for sure.
we are conveniently, I am, and the Carolina folks that are in the Charlotte area that like to travel are conveniently located to get to 2 or 3 of the large areas. You guys out west, and then Virginia's got, you know, at least 2 groups between Robert Louder kind of doing his thing now because he's trying to get into that, and then also John McConnell trying to do his thing. So,
Yeah,
and then if you want to drive another 2 hours, you can get up to Pennsylvania.
yeah, for sure. And you know, and Atlanta's not too bad from there either.
No,
And
I think Atlanta's 3, because the one year
so
I went to.
shout out to Jason Finnegan if he listens. That's my buddy.
I love Jason. Jason's another one of those players that's just fun to play against.
Yeah, that's what he came down for the tournament after my fantasy fellowship, and I got to play against him, and I told him he was Atlanta's Ezra. He's just so much fun to play against. And,
he's always got these big, scary looking lists, and you're just like, oh god. And then he gets to the table, and he's the chillest, coolest guy to play with. And I mean, we've had one game together. It ended up being a draw, but it was probably my most fun game I had, and it was at a Nashville event too.
yeah, I played him at March on Music City 19 first time, and he just smoked me, but I had a blast. And then I got to play him this last time, and we pretty much, it was a mirror match. I took the same Mordor army that I took to North Carolina, and he had his Mordor with Cardouche and a Ring Wraith and
Yep.
stuff, and I managed to squeak out the win there. But either way, you know, win or lose, it's a blast to play against him.
Yeah.
Not to sidetrack from what you're talking about, but yeah, you're in a good hub, and we're not too bad either. Especially me being west, I haven't got to make the trip yet, but to go to where Blake's at in Arkansas is about the same distance to my regular group in Nashville.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, Blake is there now in Arkansas for you, and I know he's trying. From what I have heard, he's got himself a little gathering of players. So hopefully,
Yeah,
I can get on his way.
I've talked to him some on Facebook about it, and because he's a regular prize support person with his business, and you know, the Kansas City group's not. I think it's actually closer than you. That Dwayne Fleck runs,
Yep.
and Chicago's not too bad, but I will probably never go there just because it's Chicago. No offense to the guys up there.
No offense to them either, but as someone who was stationed near Chicago, since I'm an ex-Navy guy, I don't know if you're aware with that. I'm sure some other folks might be, but
the boot camp, the only location is in Great Lakes, Illinois, which is about an hour north of Chicago. So I spent my 2.5 months in boot camp up there, and then my training, my A school for my rate, was also right across the street in Illinois. So I got there in June of 2013 and was expecting to be gone by October. Oh, excuse me. And I was like, I'm a Southern boy. I don't want to deal with the cold. And I ended up being there until frickin' April of 2014. So it snowed on Thanksgiving, and the snow was still on the ground when I was leaving in April. Yeah.
Wow. No, I don't like the cold either.
No.
But I also don't like our humid, stupid, hot summers either. But
True.
You got to pick one or the other.
I'd rather be hot than cold.
I'd rather. I think the only place you can go in America that's moderate all the time is pretty much San Diego, and I'm not going to California. So
nope. Me neither.
I got to pick one or the other, and I'll stick with Tennessee for sure.
I completely agree. That's why I like North Carolina. Well, it's funny. My wife's from Iowa, and I know you've met Tracy a couple times now. And when she got out of the military a little bit before me, but when I was getting ready to get out, I was like, we don't want to stay in Virginia. She's like, hell no, I don't want to stay in Virginia. I was like, yep, I'm cool with that. I was like, so we got two choices. We either move back to North Carolina and be semi-close to my family for support, or we move to Iowa to be semi-close to your family for support. And she's like, North Carolina it is. I don't want the snow. I was like, well, it gets hot. She's like, I'm used to hot. I said, no, sweetheart, you don't understand. It gets hot. She's like, well, it can't be that bad. First summer here, she's like, oh my God, I'm dying. I was like, I told you. I tried to warn you. I gave you every opportunity.
It's not the heat's not so bad. It's the humidity.
Yeah.
The humidity's terrible. My job requires my busiest time of the year is peak summer, 90% humidity, out in it, and it's not fun. I tend to hate my job 2 months out of the year.
I had a job a couple of years ago working in a tool and die shop as a tool and die maker, and it was a brick building that had no AC. And thankfully, I worked second shift. The downside to that is I started my shift at 3:30 when it was the hottest time of the day. So it could be 97 degrees outside with that humidity factor making it feel like, 110, because like you said, 90 to 95% humidity. And inside, because we had a thermostat, so I got to look at it, it'd be 120 degrees.
Ugh.
And I had to work in that 8 hours a day. Well, more, 10 hours a day. I was coming in 2 hours early so I could get that extra money. So I usually got there around 1:30 in the afternoon and didn't leave till midnight, 11:30 midnight. So
I know exactly what you mean. I've worked factory work as well in the summer, and it's not.
You get to lose a few pounds.
Pleasant. Yeah, for sure. I was always very trim when I worked in the factory. But get back on topic. I sent you a picture a minute ago of my display board that I worked on for this Army, and I think I've just about got it done. And that's another thing I've gotten to where I really like.
Oh, that's badass. I like what you did there.
I wanted I know nobody will be able to see it on here, but
no, they'll be able to see it. I'll try and remember. Actually, you know what? Let me write a note down. Because all I do, like I said, I told you earlier, is I put this video I'm recording using OBS software, which is actually a computer screen recording software. Not to cut you off, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
But it actually is recording everything I'm doing on my computer screen. So what I'll do is set this as a audio track and then just play pictures to it as a slideshow. So what I'll do is I will fast forward to this particular part in the video I'm writing the timestamp down right now, and I will upload this picture and maybe a bunch of your Instagram work as well, if you don't mind that.
No, go ahead. I don't mind. I can send you a few more that I've finished since then, and I'm scrambling to try to finish in time.
I feel you.
This warband of knights is kicking my butt, but having to paint dismounts and horses and mounts. 3 models for every one.
Every
is
one,
rough.
yeah. 3 models for every one. An hour to 2 hours worth of probably time just to probably have it die within the first 3 minutes of the game.
Yeah, well, I sure hope not. I'm counting on these guys to carry some weight for me, but yeah, when I sent it to you, that's one thing I've really gotten into lately is I like terrain, but I'm limited on storage space.
Right.
And so I have enough to put on the boards that I have here at home, and
Right.
just kind of leave them there. But what I love doing is building different display boards for all my armies to kind of showcase them in their theme, where they were supposed to be fighting in.
Well, I liked your Helm's Deep display board. I saw that you did for your Legendary Legion Defenders of Helm's Deep. I was clicking through your pictures and I saw that and I was like, ooh. And then you had some progress photos too. That was really cool also.
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun to do. I got to practice with water effects and stuff from the break where they blew up the deeping wall.
Yep. So, I mean, huge props on that. That looked really good.
Yeah, it nearly came to great battles until the army just sucked so bad.
I feel like it's one of those armies, it's like we were talking about earlier. At 1,000 points, you can bring a little bit of counter for everything, but unfortunately, you're a little bit limited with that Legendary Legion on what you can bring. I feel like it's better at like a 600 to 800 point range than it would be at 1,000.
Either way, I think it can be really good, and another shout, the guys from the Tell Me a Tale blog have been going over and talking about how good the Legion is. And if you play it right, it is. I'm just so drawn to all the named heroes that I'm going to eat up a ton of space on. You have to have Theoden, and then taking Aragorn, and then I took Haldir and Legolas and Aldor and Haleth and the King's Huntsman. I went bow heavy. I wanted to take advantage of the 30-inch range.
Yes, well, you have to, I think, in that list.
Yeah, but I went super heavy with Legolas and the Huntsman and Aldor, and
you went hero bow heavy. I got you.
Yeah, and it never worked out. It probably didn't help that I had to keep playing Dylan's Flying Urukai, but they and Smog. I played 10 games with 8 or 10 games with it, and 4 of those games were against those super fast Urukai and Smog.
Well, Joe played it. Joe and I did it in one game, and we did it on his YouTube channel, which I'm still part of. They've just kind of hit a bit of a lull in what they want to do content-wise, which is kind of why I jumped on to doing my own. I didn't want to keep bugging them with, hey, let's do this, when they're kind of in that, like, we're mellow right now, guys. We're mellow with the... Yeah. But we did a battle report, and I did Dunland Isengard. It was primarily Dunland. The only thing Isengard was a troll, of course, and a few Urukai crossbowmen. And it was, unfortunately, I think it was to the death was rolled for the scenario. And I had no march in my army, so I spent the first 4 turns just moving at him. And I almost lost, what's that guy? Goroth, who's like the big killer for Dunland, since he's got 3 attacks and strength 5 with axes, so he can piercing strike. Plus he's got the iron skin, so he can only ever be wounded on 6s against heroes. So, yeah, it was It was a little tough. You would have enjoyed playing against me because he shot and killed like 6 or 7 of my guys in those 4 turns it took me to move.
Now that's awesome. I might have stuck with the army if I'd had
You played armies
experiences
that were
like
perfect
that.
counters to you.
But yeah, back like the display boards and stuff, I managed like this one I've been working on. I managed to snag the old GW terrain kit
Mm-hmm.
for it with statues and the ruined walls, and I found another 3D printed ruin on Amazon.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. The one on the right side of
Nice.
the photo.
And take some trees to show that it's still in Athelian, but
Mm-hmm.
it had stuff there in the past. You know, Amon Brad's is similar to like Amon Hen and Amon Sul with
Yep.
the old hill. Amon being hill, meaning that that it was a place to be stationed to look out and guard the area,
Yep.
and so the ruins represent that, and but you still got the forest there too, and it's just it was a lot of fun to put together, and I really wanted to go all out with this one. I try to always up my game a little bit as much as I can. My Mordor one I took to your tournament ended up being a little bland compared to my Helm's Deep one, but I was limited on time. Plus, I had so many models that to fit on a
67
board.
to
It just
paint.
yeah, leaving the board wide open to be able to fit them and represent the plains of Gorgoroth. It was still thematic and looked good, but it was kind of basic. And this one, my model count's in the 40s,
Yeah.
so but I didn't want that thick, um, overwhelming look where there's so much to see, but you can't take it all in.
No, I like this. This is really good. And I
Yeah,
mean,
so I expanded. It's going to be big. It's not as big as the guy that had the Osgiliath
right.
display board, but it's a foot and a half square. So
I mean, that's a
it's
good size.
yeah. I've always tried to keep them about one by one, but this one I wanted to make it a little bit bigger just to be able to showcase
Yeah.
everything and it not be too busy.
Well,
That's what.
I usually try to do a good job of spacing the boards out because I mean you were there. Try to get 2 boards per row, so to speak, and I'm probably gonna have a very similar setup to what I had last time, only different boards on the front. And there should be plenty of space for you to set this down beside the board you're playing on, and not have to worry about it getting knocked off the table or being in anybody's way. So, and then it's perfect because of the fact. I mean, you can see right on there. You've got all the notches cut out, so it makes it pretty easy for you to keep count of. I'm assuming your break point, and then like 25%, and then putting horses. I can see the 40 millimeter drill marks
Mm-hmm.
as opposed
Yeah,
to 25.
that was a new thing I tried doing with the cutting the notches for the bases, just so it looked a little more seamless when you set them in there, and
Right.
you don't have they're not all standing on little hills.
Yeah.
They're actually standing flush with the ground. It just looks better for the display
Yep.
purpose. And
Yep. And it'll
so
help keep them
yeah,
on there too. It'll make them a little more sturdy. So if you accidentally tilt a little bit traveling because someone just walks in front of you and you're moving from table to table, round and round,
yeah, for sure.
you're less
That
likely to
that was
drop
a
them.
big that was a big problem with my Mordor was like models that aren't perfectly centered, like my banners and Kardouche and stuff that are kind of heavy to one side, and if you have to move to the side to let somebody by
Yeah.
or
Make a little
stumble a little
tilt.
bit, they're gonna fall, and
Yeah.
that will definitely help move them from table to table as well.
Fall
Um,
and most likely either chip or break or something dumb like that. Unfortunately.
yeah, as much as I love metal models, but good grief, I hate metal banners
Yeah, it's
so
funny you
much.
should say that. I've got 2 banners in my um, Lurtz's Scouts list, and one of them is the old banner that came with the blister pack with like a captain and a banner, and the other one is the new one from uh, the new Scout blister pack that comes with 4 models: the drummer, the shaman, the two-handed sword captain, and the banner. And that one is so weight heavy to one side because of the pose. It's got the banner like tilted back. So whenever you try and like turn it to one side, I mean, they have the arm out to maybe try and counterbalance it. But in my experience with it in the one game I played, and then even with just painting it, if you're on any sort of unbalanced terrain, or if you knock it, it's going down.
Yeah, and that's even the biggest problem with the ones that do have it. Lord, I forgot how to speak English. That have a good center balance, that stand up straight when you get on terrain. Well, that's no longer balanced, so they're going to fall every time. And usually, the off balance ones on terrain, you can actually balance them a little bit easier.
Yep.
You can work it around. But yeah, I love banners. They're some of heroes, and banners are my favorite thing to paint. To try to really make the armies pop.
But you had like 3 of them in your one army, in your 1,000 points.
Yeah, and well, I only have one in the one I'm bringing to RGS, but for NashCon, it's going to be 895 points.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm taking the exact same list and just throwing in 95 more points. So I thought, well, let's just add 2 more banners. So I'm going to have a mounted banner and another foot banner.
Oh, there you go. That'll get you most of the way there. Yeah.
And throw in just a couple more dudes, and that way I'm not having to learn any more new game mechanics or how different heroes are going to function. I can just pretty much fill up my war bands, max them out, and add some more gear, and kind of like what I did for taking my Mordor from 800 to 1,000.
Yeah.
You
just get a couple more banners, get some more dice in those fights. Yeah, that's a smart idea. Yeah, I'm hoping to come to that. I think 895 is just it's a cool points value. It reminds me of when I did one of my first events. So the first ever event, harkening back to when I was talking about TOing, the first event I did TO-wise was just a local event for folks from North and South Carolina, because we are the Carolinas Middle Earth League. But my second event that I did was for, I invited everybody. And it didn't get as much show as I would like. I think we had 12 people because I had to run it on a Sunday. Because at that time, Blake Dixon was still living here in North Carolina doing his, whatever it was for his doctor stuff. He had like 1 year in North Carolina. And he unfortunately always worked Saturdays. So events for him were out of the question on Saturdays. So I did one specifically on Sunday just for him because of the fact that he came in and without anybody asking did exactly like you were talking about, where he just started doing all this wood burning and wood carving for us, gave us trophies and, personalized measuring devices, just anything and everything while he was learning it. And he just gave it to us, no cost to us at all out of his own pocket and, kindness of him being an awesome person. So I ran that event, and I did it at 735 points, which at the time everyone was like, why not 750? Why not 700? And I said, why not 735? There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So, I mean, I think it's cool. I don't know why I came up with 735. It was just like 735. That's a cool number. We'll do that. So.
Well,